Good evening, Unique Couples community. Welcome to our Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. We
Yes.
are Vito and Linda Patrick, international marriage coaches. We are here in Freeport, Grand Bahama. We just want to welcome you to another Unique Couples Sunday Night Live. If you haven't subscribed to the Unique Couples YouTube channel, you want to go ahead and subscribe. And make sure you turn on that notification bell and select all so you can know every time we go live here at Unique Couples. Go ahead and type in Live Squad in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from.
Mhm.
Let us know how many years you've been married. But those of you that'll be watching the replay, go ahead and type in hashtag replay. This evening, we're going to be in for a great time. We have special guests in the house, Johnny and Tiffany Clark. We're going to be bringing them on shortly. They're going to be telling us their story. We will be in, you guys are going to be in for a treat this evening.
Yes, we
So you
all
want to
will
make
be.
sure, go ahead and share. Make sure, go ahead and like. Also tag some friends and family members as well.
Yes, all excited, all excited. Yeah, show those excited faces and put in some love and hearts for Pastor Johnny and Tiffany Clark. We are excited about their sharing. I am a promise. Ministries. Hello, Kathy. Thanks for joining us. Julie. Um, yeah, and Johnny, thanks for joining us as well. Yes. And so today we are excited about the story, our story. You know, every couple has a story, their own unique story. And we are so happy that we're able to just have a whole lot of couples come in and share their story. And if it helps you, if it inspires you, if it just gives you the hope that, hey, you could do something different for your relationship, our goal would have been accomplished. Just one more couple that we want to prevent, from, even thinking about that D word. So
Yes.
thanks for joining us. Share, share, share. Let someone know that we are here and we're all excited about this story because, I mean, like we've heard part of the story. This is like what? Um, Almost a year ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 8 months ago.
yeah. So almost a year ago, and I was like, we just had to have them come and share. And so we're excited that they're here today and sharing. So go ahead and tell another couple, tell someone they are definitely going to be inspired by Johnny and Tiffany Clark. Yes.
Good
Amen.
evening, Johnny and Tiffany,
Yes.
Good
All
Amen.
evening.
all the way from Fort Worth, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas.
There
yes.
you go. Yeah.
How are you guys doing this evening?
We are blessed. We
We're
are
good.
good. We're happy to be here. Thank you guys for having us on your platform. We're excited. And yeah, we're ready to see if we can help someone just make it through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We know it's been a long time coming.
All right,
Yes.
all right.
Yes. Yes.
So let our audience know a little about who you are.
You wanna go first?
You want to go first?
Go ahead.
No. Well, I'm Tiffany Clark. We're from Arkansas originally, but we've been in Fort Worth, Texas for over 10 years. We have been married for 13 years. 13 years. We are the CEO and founders of I Am the Promise Ministries and Promise Apparel Fort Worth. We are associate pastors at MBIC Church as well. So we serve in our church and our community. I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 2 angel babies. I'm a godmother of my niece. I'm a woman of God. I'm a prayer warrior. And that's who I am. I'm a servant of the Most High God. That's who I am in a nutshell. All right, Johnny.
In a nutshell, I want to just piggyback off of what she just said. We've actually been in Texas since 2006.
Yeah.
So it's been a little
I
over
just said
10
over
years.
10 years,
Yeah.
so I don't remember.
I'm a husband for one. Minister, I've been in ministry along with my wife, going on 8-9 years now.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and as we're doing this, next week will be our official ordination service. So we're walking in a new journey starting next week.
Yeah.
We have been serving as associate pastors, like my wife said, for a little bit over a year now at the church. But we've been operating in that capacity for
7 years.
about 7 years now under our own ministry. So God has really been doing some things in our life over these last couple of years that we've been in ministry. So it's been a journey. It's been a awesome uphill and downhill. So tonight we're just going to share a part of our walk with Christ and our testimony. Vito, we want to thank y'all once again for just having us on.
Yes.
Okay, Johnny, tell us, how did you find Tiffany, or how did you and Tiffany met?
Ooh.
Okay. This is a crazy story. Where we was actually, the city where we were from.
13.
Yeah. Okay. The city where we were living in is called Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I had a house there, and I had a neighbor that lived behind me, and she continually said, "You got to meet my coworker. You have to meet my coworker." I'm like, "Okay, I'll meet her," but I'm really, I was doing my thing as a young bachelor, and she finally had an opportunity to introduce us, and it was actually right after her birthday. And we met through our friend, and me being me, I was like, "Yeah, I got to have that one." So I'm just being transparent. I was just being me.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So let's just keep it real.
Oh, bless you. Go ahead.
Yeah. We met through a mutual friend of ours, and I was trying my best to be standoffish, but at the same time, I had devilish things running through my head.
We were friends at first.
Yeah, we were.
We were really good. We became really good friends at first, and we were not thinking about marriage. Was like a relationship or marriage was like far from our minds. We was like both doing our thing, and it had to be God.
Mm-hmm.
It had to be God.
All right.
Yeah.
Can you share your story and any challenges you had and how you overcame them?
Sure. So where you want to start?
Y'all want us to start from the beginning?
Not from the beginning.
How we got to Texas, or
no,
or just in the marriage itself?
The marriage, I think. Yeah, because it's long. So no. I think we had been married 2 or 3 years when we had our first baby.
No, it was 5 years.
5 years. My bad, y'all. Yeah, 5 years. So we had been married 5 years.
Let's just go back from the moment we got married. From the moment that the day we got married, it was a challenge, even from that day. And I'm not just saying a challenge between her and I, but it was so much chaos going on the night before our wedding day. Our car got broken into. Some things we were using at the actual wedding got destroyed. My tuxedo almost got wet, and then it started pouring down, raining on our wedding. When I mean pouring, you literally could not see outside. Wow. So from that day, but we realized that it was something special going on and didn't know it. Even on the way home from the wedding,
we got
stopped by the police. Had just married on the back of the car.
I had my wedding dress laid over the back of the seat. And
got questioned, and it was just crazy. So on the way home, we got home. We lived. It was a decent lifestyle. We constantly tried to conceive, not knowing what was really going on, and there was some challenges there for the first 5 years. But it was times during the beginning of the stages of our marriage to where sex wasn't even part of the plan, because she was dealing with so many female issues. Yeah. To where it was like 5, 6, 7 months sometimes where there was not even a physical touch.
Yeah, no intimacy.
Yeah.
In that way. So it was difficult in the beginning. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And my cycles would just last for a long time because they really didn't know how to treat it. I don't think. So it was painful cramps, always on my menstrual cycle. And that caused like a wedge in our marriage because there was no intimacy for months at a time. But thank God there was no infidelity.
Yeah.
He hung in there. When I tell you this man, he hung in there.
It was rough.
And we walked through this thing together. We finally got to a space or a point because we prayed and we fasted. We prayed and we fasted. We kept God in the forefront of our marriage. We always, without even, it wasn't even intentional. It was just something God had just put that in us. I can't even remember where I learned that from, because where we were brought up, the families that we were brought up in, this was not instilled. So it had to be the Spirit of God telling us this. Divorce was never in our vocabulary. It still is not in our vocabulary. We never used it. So what helped us overcome that and to stay in the marriage for that long was God. It had to be God. It was God. And we've just committed to each other. And
that was one of the first things that we talked about before we even said I do, that we will never make divorce an option.
Yeah.
We wouldn't bring that up. We wouldn't even talk about it, because the moment that you allow divorce to come up or you bring up that issue,
it's an option.
It's an option,
right? But if you act like it doesn't exist, it's not an option.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an option. So we went on and we prayed and we fasted. Finally, my cycles regulated. So we were able to have intimacy, and that helped our marriage. That helped our bond as well. Fast forward 2013, we did conceive. We got pregnant in October
of 2013.
And I was about 14 weeks pregnant. I had some issues in the beginning because they were saying it was threatening miscarriage, but we were just praying. And one day, I was about 14 weeks pregnant, and one day my water broke. So my water broke. We went to the hospital. Thank God he wasn't far from home. He had just left from home, but he wasn't far. He was able to come back, and we went to the hospital, and they were just explaining to us that the baby had already moved down to in the birth canal. So we were still in shock. We just couldn't process everything right then, but we were still in shock. We were at the hospital, but even in that moment when we were in labor and delivery, I did have to give birth. So I had to give birth to the baby. His name was Jalen, our sweet baby nugget. Jalen is his name. And even there, the presence of God was even there in the hospital, just with the things that was going on, the favor that he showed us.
Yeah, it was the president of the hospital came by, some of the lead nurses.
Yeah.
So many people that was actually supposed to be working in the other rooms were there in the room with us.
For some reason, they were drawn to our room. And they gathered around us and prayed.
It was only spiritual people that were coming in there, believers. And even though we ourselves, we saw the people, we knew what they were in there doing, it was like we both was in this trance, like, is this really happening? Me personally, as being a man, I'm like, how can I fix this? How can I fix this? How can I fix this? Looking at her as she's sobbing and sorrowful, looking at our son, and because they said when he first came out that he was not going to be active, there was no movement going to be happening, and when he came out, he was kicking and moving and doing all sorts of stuff. So it was kind of chaotic at the same time, but we sat there, and I'm like, how can I fix this, God? And Lord, like, do you trust me? Do you trust me? And that's when I knew I heard the voice of God calling me, because I had been running from it the whole time. And God kept saying, do you trust me? Do you trust me? For 2.5 hours is how long our son lived after he came out. And after he came out with his hands across his chest.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the craziest thing. I'm like, now, why would you come out with your hands like that? And he was moving, doing it, and very active. And the moment his heart stopped, God said it again. Do you trust me? And I was like, oh God.
And to trust you in something like this
Yes.
is the thought, the human thought. Yeah, it was just,
It was chaotic. So leaving there, it revealed to us a lot of stuff. A lot of people that we thought were there for us really were not there for us. They were just there for themselves or what they can get or receive. So it was, God was actually revealing so many things to us at that time. Not only that, he actually introduced to us a lot of good people, and he created a lot of lasting relationships and friendships. A young guy, the young guy that actually took our son to the funeral home. To this day, we're still close friends with him. Now he has his own funeral home.
Yeah, back then he didn't have it. He was just doing it as we knew him through a mutual friend, so he was just doing it out of his servitude to God. He was just doing it for us, and he treated the baby like he was he came in there with, I'll never forget, he came in with a full car seat. Mind you, the baby is probably, Jalen was probably like the size of your hand, but he served just like it was a 1-year-old, or no matter how old the baby was, he served and he treated our baby just like he was a big boy, and that meant the world to us. So we will forever be grateful to God and to him for using him. He didn't have his own funeral home then, but now he's grown. God has blessed him with his own funeral services, and he's flourishing. I think it's called Tree of Life Funeral Home in Fort Worth, Texas. And I will never forget that. And I still believe to this day, because of his servitude to us, God bless him, because we prayed for him daily. Yeah. We prayed for him all the time. And I believe God answered our prayers in blessing him with his business, with his funeral home.
Because he actually had a casket built for him.
Yeah, he had a little. It was just the small stuff,
Yeah, when he came in the car fully dressed. When I mean he was fully dressed in his the attire that they normally wear for services. He was fully dressed. Him and I don't know if that was his wife or just an assistant, but they got out. They had a table. They had it set up, and they did the flowers. They did everything themselves.
Because we had a memorial, a graveside memorial for him to just celebrate his life, because children are a heritage from the Lord. That's what God says. That's what his word says. So we just wanted to honor and just have memory of that. But even in that, God was still in there, even though that pain, the pain will never go away, but somehow God makes the pain worth it, if that makes sense. When we serve him, because I remember he told me recently that your pain caused your yes. So the pain that we went through caused our yes to God, to serve God and to serve his people. So I wouldn't change it.
Nope. So
I wouldn't change it.
Even after that, that was a real test to our relationship. Yes. It was a real strain.
It was because I was struggling with not being able to hold. After that, I was diagnosed with incompetent cervix. So I'm like, really, God? Really? Wow. So that's why my cervix, it collapsed before it was time, because I was diagnosed with that incompetent cervix. And it just put a strain on our marriage. After that, I didn't have the confidence as a woman, because I'm the enemy is feeding me lies, telling me you can't even hold a child. You will never bear children for your husband. And that really, really affected me. I fell into a deep depression after that miscarriage. I was in a very, very dark place. Some days I didn't even get out the bed. Some days I didn't wash dishes. The house was a mess. The trash was a mess. The house was stinky. Yeah, I like to talk about that part of it, because some people think that it's not, they don't want to talk about it. So we have to talk about where we were. Yes, I some days I didn't bathe, but this man right here, he never complained. He never complained. He came in babe, you're gonna have to get up and take a shower. Like he helped me and he prayed me through that. So sometimes you have to pray your spouse through those dark times. You can't just give up when it get hard. You have to continue to pray and try to stay connected. If they can't fight, guess what? You got to fight.
And that was one of those instances. I knew, like, going to work, I would work 12, 13, 14 hours some days.
Yeah.
And I would call and check on her regularly, me thinking that, okay, she's getting better. And then I show up at home. No, it's not. She's still in that same spot. And I wasn't rushing her. I want to make sure to put that out there, to never rush your spouse when they're going through things like that. Just pray with them and walk with them, not try to hurry them along
or get over it.
Each person deals with hurt and pain in a different way. Me, I began to deal with it like this here. I had to be strong around her, but when I was by myself, I could be vulnerable. I can cry, I can do this, I can do that.
Didn't work
and
out.
That didn't work.
It worked out for a while, but then once I healed, I was like,
he don't care.
I thought he didn't care. So
then
that was through the first one. So
it switched from, me being a protector. Now she started looking at me as, well, you don't care. You have no emotional feelings because of this. So I am the only one feeling this way, and you just like done got over it. And it was like she never knew what was really going on in my mind.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So during this time, a period of it was constantly going on. Within 2 years, God did it again.
Yeah, we got pregnant again in 2015.
But this time, this pregnancy here, if she would have been able to carry the baby full term, it not only would have killed the baby, it would have killed her too. All because of the way the baby had latched on.
Yeah, the placenta was actually over my cervix. So yeah, I had several with the second pregnancy. I had several scares, several miscarriage scares where it was just a lot of bleeding, and I went to the hospital. He was over the road with the second baby. He was over the road
I was in Kansas City,
Missouri. So that's pretty far from Texas.
Mm.
So he was over the road. The doctor suggested that I get a cervical cerclage, and they tried to get me in as soon as possible, but he wasn't able to get back. Because they had to do an emergency surgery to try to save the baby. So I went to Dallas to have the surgery. Had the surgery, but the baby did not survive the surgery. Wow. So that you can imagine the devastation, because we were so excited. We just knew that this time was it. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That this time was it, that we're going to actually get to hold our baby, watch the baby grow, go to preschool, take his first steps, say his first words, So I believe it was a girl, but we never knew the gender. I was only 10 weeks pregnant with the second pregnancy. And this one is really when I lost it.
Yeah, this was that pregnancy there was the game changer for us.
Yeah, because everything happened at the same time. Like we were going through with the church that we were a part of at that time. We were going through with the leaders at the church, and then the miscarriage happened. We were going through financially. We were not, because we had just started his business.
My first trucking business. And we during that after that time when I finally did make it to the hospital, it actually how can I put this? It was a real eye opener for both of us, to say the least. Like she said, we were going through with the leaders of that church. We almost lost our house, which we had just had built.
Yeah.
The trucking business that I had just started, we lost that. So much stuff was going on, and not only that, my wife was losing her mind at the same time, and it was so much going on. And I'm like, how? And once again, here I go again. How can I fix this? How can I fix it? How can I put my hands on this?
Yeah.
And that was the thing. I was trying to do it again my way, not looking at her like what she's going through, what she's dealing with. once again, I bottled up my feelings around her to try to make sure that she's okay and she's taking the necessary steps to try to heal. So all alone, I'm messing things up again. So it was a year or two.
It was probably a year, but I want to share this part before we left the hospital. So before we left the hospital, I kind of knew that the baby was deceased because normally I couldn't be around food. Like I would get nauseous when I was around food. So they brought food in and I wasn't nauseous. I was in denial basically. And so I told Johnny, I said, well, I'm going to go back down to the ultrasound just to see, because I said if the baby is deceased, I believe I was standing on 2 Kings where the Shunammite woman's son had passed away, and she sent for the man of God, and he laid prostrate over the baby, prayed over the baby, and the baby came back to life. He wasn't a baby, but he was like a little boy. So I was standing on that scripture. So I said, I'm going to go back down there. And he didn't go. He couldn't go. He said, God told
me to sit down. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, he didn't go. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go back. They rolled me down, went to the ultrasound, and still no heartbeat. And I just broke. I was like, okay, God, I don't understand. And when they were rolling me out, I was crying. I was sobbing. And I looked up. The only thing I remember seeing is I saw like a rainbow on this sign, and it says, I promise.
Wow.
And I was like, I didn't understand then. I was just like, I was devastated. Got back to the room.
Promise butter.
Everything around us was promise. And we just like, are we being punked or what, God? Like, what's going on here? Like, what are you doing? We didn't understand.
Even on the ride home, we started seeing signs, promise
everywhere we looked.
And I was like, Lord, you got a sense of humor. So it was that day there when we left the hospital, I can really look at her and tell that a part of her, she was different.
Yeah.
That going home, she wasn't the same person. And I couldn't really say anything because I didn't know what triggers.
You didn't know what to say.
There
was nothing to say, really.
Yeah. Because we didn't want to hear, oh, it's going to be okay.
Try again. We wanted this baby. Okay. We wanted the last baby.
Yeah.
So we didn't want to hear nothing, in that manner. We didn't want to hear that. And I was done with church. I was done with church folks. I was done with God after a while. I didn't want anything to do with God. I was done because we was going through church hurt. Along with that, you think that the church is supposed to be here for you and support you. We didn't get the support that we were needing. Mm-hmm. So that really messed me up even more. Mm-hmm. Then I had to. They couldn't take the baby out, so I had to come home with the deceased baby inside of me. I was at home for like a day, and he had to go back out, though we would have had to pay out, I think like $2,400 if he wouldn't have delivered the load that he was sitting on. So he had to go back out. I couldn't have that happen on a Friday or a Saturday. Yeah, Friday. So I was at home Saturday, Sunday, and I had the surgery Monday to remove the baby. Yeah. So that's what really like messed with me mentally, where I just didn't want to live anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. So after that one, it was a real dark. It was like a dark cloud that we just couldn't shake for a while. It was like once she got out of the mindset of like, I'm done with church people. I'm done with this, done with that. We were going to church. We were serving. We had gotten back into church. Let me say that. We were serving. We was,
I hadn't started. I wasn't too sure about it yet. I was just going.
She was just going. To go. Yeah, and it was like it was a dark cloud, and it was like we'll go to church, put on these faces, and come back home.
A good face, but I was mean to him. I was actually very cruel and mean to him. because I feel like he didn't care. I feel like he didn't understand me. Like, I feel like nobody understood what I was going through. You know, nobody understood what the pain that I was feeling, and I was mad at God. And he actually had to reveal this to me, that I was actually mad at God, and I was in denial for a while. And he was like, "No, we had to come to Jesus meeting one day."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "No, you need to seek God. You're upset. You're mad with him. You're mad with him." And I know we were sitting out in the truck,
Yep.
because he didn't know what else to do. Like, I didn't know what to do. And I called my dad, and I was crying to him, and I told him I can't take it anymore. I just couldn't take it. Like, I don't know what else to do.
So I think that was one of our biggest turning points when it came to our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That after, because everything that I would say, from that point on, it was like everything that I would try to say to her, or the conversation we would have, it meant nothing to her. She would always go to get a second opinion.
Yeah, I didn't trust.
You didn't trust?
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
You didn't trust him?
And I didn't know that I didn't trust him until this happened. Like, something broke in me. Like, seriously, something broke. And I just disconnected. I didn't trust God. I didn't trust him. I didn't trust men. And it actually brought back things that happened to me in my childhood. Sometimes when you go through traumatic things in your adult life, it triggers something in your brain to make you feel that same hurt of things you forgot happened to you, like when you were a kid, maybe when you were a baby, when you can start remembering. So that's what happened to me, and I started remembering things that happened too. Mm-hmm. And I tried to press those down, and it just started bubbling up. And one day I started writing. So I was journaling. I started writing, and one day I was just thinking. The devil was like, "You might as well just take your life. You can't have kids. You can't. You will never satisfy this man. You can't. You cannot bear children. You will never be the mother of his children." And the enemy was just kept feeding me lies like that. You're not worthy enough. You're not a real woman. You can't carry a baby. So I was planning it out to take my life. I was like, if I take these many pills, I can end my life. But then I thought about my niece. We were raising her, so she would be the one to find me. So I was like, okay, I can't do it while she's here, because she would be the one to find me. So, but I didn't do it. I didn't do it.
She had even wrote out a note, a letter to me saying what she was getting ready to do, but I never knew it. I never found it, and none of it, until God had begun to work on her heart. He had softened her heart, and she gave it to me one day. And I was sitting on the edge of the bed. I'm like, well, "What is this?" She said, "Just read it." And she walked off. And I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
And as I'm reading this, instead of being compassionate, my anger rose up. And I was like, how the world you going to be this selfish to hand me a note and then walk off like something like this is just a grocery list or something? Mm-hmm. So I was zero tolerance at that point. I was like, man, look, you are angry. You don't trust me, and then you have the audacity to hand me a note saying you were getting ready to take your life. Explain this to me. And she was like, "It is what it is."
Yeah, because I was still like nonchalant, didn't care. I still didn't want to live there, but something just wanted him to know. I guess, I don't know. Maybe it was God saying to tell somebody, but I handed him the letter. And we started, after he calmed down, we sat down and talked. We had a real conversation, a real heart to heart, where I was able to express how broken I was, how hurt I was. Like, something died, like a piece of me died back there.
Yeah, I think that was the day I got, after you gave me that, I got angry, grabbed the holy oil, and just went to slap the people across the forehead with holy oil. I was like, I'm tired of the devil in my house. I said, nope, you ain't gonna win. So I got fed up. Yeah. And she started looking at me like, oh, you gonna hit the baby with the oil too? Yes, everybody's getting it. So I began to pray, and then when I finally come down, like she said, we started talking, and I'm like, why did you hide this from me? And at the same time, I was thinking about, well, heck, I'm hiding my feelings from her.
Mhm.
I didn't reveal how I felt about the miscarriages. I didn't reveal how it made me feel less of a man. I didn't reveal any of that to her. So at the same time, we was both fighting the same thing, but
not sharing.
Not sharing.
Yeah.
Not working together to overcome it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to share it so you can pray against it
mhm,
and help each other cross it over. So when we did that, so communication, do not hide things from your spouse.
talk.
You have to talk it out,
Talk.
even if it's embarrassing. Lay that pride aside and ask for help. Remember, we're a team.
Yeah.
You're on the same team. You have to have good communication and be able to talk to each other about anything and everything.
And I think it was maybe a year or two after the second baby, we found this what is it called? Refresh at the church that we are in now.
It's called Refresh Marriage Ministry. So
Yes.
we found somebody inviting us to it. We didn't know what we was getting into.
Yeah. But through that course, it was 16 weeks. Through that, it reveals so much stuff. You know, it revealed how messed up I was from having daddy issues. It brought up so much stuff within her of being molested as a young kid.
Yeah.
It brought up so much things that were hidden, so many skeletons that were pulled out of our marriage that we had buried and forgot all about. Once we went through that, once we started talking through those things and really seeing each other for who we were and the value that each other carried, it was like a whole 360 to our marriage.
Mm.
To like, man, we've been doing this all wrong.
All wrong.
And at this point, we was 10 years in.
We was 10 years in, and we felt like we didn't know each other.
Yes, we were strangers to each other. So what we began to do, we started putting the things we learned in this class into action. You know, we our biggest thing during this class was communication and finance.
Yeah.
Because I was one of the ones that thought, oh, I can take care of this, take care of that, and you just take care of this. And it wasn't. We share everything, so there's no separation of money and nothing like that. But it was just me being prideful, thinking that I can take care of it all and not enlist the help of my wife. So when we went through this, it really pulled a huge scab off of me, showing me that you're very prideful. You don't operate in humility. You don't value your wife according to the marriage. So I was like, oh my God, it was like I got hit by a truck myself. So we started putting these things into action. And when we began to put them into action, that's when we really started living. When it came to our marriage, our relationship, our walk with Christ, everything, we started really living. You know, I started sharing more things about the finances when it came to the trucking business, because I started realizing, man, look, I can't do this all on my own. Why was I trying to do it all these years when I got a helpmeet that can do this for me and I can just go do this and focus on that? So it was a real eye opener for the both of us when it came to our relationship.
Yeah.
Communication
was the key. Like when you do marriage God's way, you can be blissfully in love.
Mm-hmm.
You can be blissfully in love, and that was the turnaround, the turning point for our marriage and how we communicated our intimacy, how we have date nights, like vacations. Like you have to, like marriage is our first ministry, right?
Yep.
So we have to take care of home first. And I think that's where a lot of us as believers get it wrong. We think that we have to put the church first or ministry first. No, you have to put God first and then your marriage. Yeah.
Marriage, definitely.
Wow.
Yeah. 10 years in, you did the refresh. You're communicating. Intimacy is okay. You're having your date nights now. Marriage is looking good. How the shift happened in your relationship?
The shift I would say that when the communication, when I was able to, and also prayer. Like we had to work through all of that junk that we, like the insecurities from what happened to me when I was a child. Then it popped up. I don't know who my biological dad is. I didn't know how much that affected me. That affected me a lot, and that made me not trust men. Period. I didn't trust my husband. We would be driving, and I would be freaking out because I would think he was trying to kill me in the car. Like, that's how bad the enemy was playing with my mind. Like, I did not trust him.
Coming to a stoplight, y'all was like, I'm gonna run off a hill to her.
And there was a fear that the enemy had put in me, where I didn't trust him. So we had to walk through all it and just pull it out. Had to pull it out, express how you feel, and shine light on it. Once we shine light on it, the enemy doesn't have any control over it, or any he can't make us fearful about it, because once we shine the light of Christ on it, it has to change. It doesn't, it has to change. Darkness cannot comprehend the light of God. So we had to shine the light on it, the insecurities, and you have to reassure each other. You have to give each other reassurance. Like, he would tell me, I'm not going anywhere. I love you whether we have children or not, but we're gonna have children. It's gonna happen. Like, he would just make sure to give me that reassurance and that security, and let each other know that you're needed. Because everyone wants to feel needed, and we're a team. We have to work together.
And one of the biggest things we learned too, with going through that class, was when we see the temperature rising between the two of you, and this goes for everyone out there that's watching. When you see the temperature rising up between the two of you, do what we call a timeout, because no one is going to get their point across. No understanding is going to happen. Call a timeout and take time to step back, reevaluate the situation, and then come back to it and talk about it. Because if you're both sitting there heated, and then you're going back and forth and you're arguing about it, no one is going to receive what you're saying. So we began to learn, like, okay, we need a timeout, because I'm not making sense to you, you're not making sense to me, and whichever person was saying it. So we just began to do that. So when the communication got 1,000 times better. Not only just was the communication the biggest, I'll say that was the biggest turning point.
That's because I felt like I wasn't being heard.
Yeah.
So that was once I felt heard, that validated me, and that made me feel more secure, and that made me want to trust him. And and it didn't happen overnight. Like, he kept doing things to help me. He didn't just say, we've been together 10 years, so you should trust me. No, he worked hard, and he worked together, and he helped me take those baby steps to that I can trust him with my life now. So we've come a long way, but it was a lot of work. But being heard. People want to be heard, just like he wants to be heard. I want to be heard. We both want to be understood. So we have to listen to understand,
and not just to respond.
So
that was our biggest thing, was just the communication. And then, like she said, when she was talking, I listened. When I was talking, she listened. So we began to know, hey, I need you to hear me, not just to hear me to respond, but to hear me, to take it to heart. And it was work. I tell y'all now, it was work, because it was like everything I said,
I questioned.
She questioned everything. I was like, why you go call your dad, and I just said this very same thing. And at some point it got like, why am I even trying?
Right. We wanted to give up. Trust me.
It was tough. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I'm not finna let the enemy take this. I'm not letting him I'm not gonna let him step into my marriage and have his way. No. This marriage is gonna be like none other. So I'm willing to fight. I always tell her, hey, if you get mad at me, go upstairs. We got a couple more rooms up there. Just know I'm coming right behind you.
You're not going anywhere.
I'm coming right behind you. So you go upstairs all you want to. And that's what we began to do. We started looking at things like, okay, how can we have fun in this moment? Okay, we might have had a disagreement about something. Okay, let's take a few minutes breaks, be quiet, so we can really listen to each other, and then let's find a way to laugh about it. Let's find a way to find the joy in it. And that's what we begin to do. Even today, we were headed back home just, to be ready for the show.
Yeah.
And she was reading something on the back of the car and totally messed it up. We sitting at the light just laughing. People were blowing their horns, and it was, hey.
Yeah, we just bust down there.
Yeah, so it was. We try our best to find joy in everything that we do now. So that way, if you always arguing, you're always mad in your relationship. Hey, there's a breakdown of communication somewhere. So we try to find the joy and peace in everything we do.
Yes.
And the main thing, like she said, now we know better. We take time and we go reset. We just went to a conference last weekend.
Yes.
XO conference.
It was awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. We got a chance.
Reset.
Yes, we had a chance to relax. We enjoyed each other. We watched fireworks, drunk hot chocolate. So it was like we was just
kids.
Even though it was 30 minutes away from our house, but we was like in our own little world.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like a really refreshing thing just to be there with my wife, just to experience. So that's where I would say with every marriage, you have to find that perfect balance where communication come in, where friendship come in, because you were friends first before the relationship.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to remember, that we were friends first that led up to us getting married, which now returns to us coming husband and wife. Find that place where you first started.
Yeah, where you first found it when you was girlfriend, right? Yeah. Sometimes you have to be the girlfriend. Sometimes you have to be the wife. Sometimes you have to be the friend. Sometimes you just have to listen. So we have to know what hat to put on and study your spouse. Know what they need.
So I make it mine is I like physical touch. My wife sometimes don't like physical touch. So I have to test the temperature to see. So I give her a little pat to see if it's one of the moments that I can touch it. But she's like, babe, why? So I know then, okay, this ain't the time.
I don't say nothing there. I just roll with it.
Yeah. So it's just those little things where you have to learn each other. Like, okay, she don't want me to touch her right now. Okay, give me 5 minutes. I'll give her a little pat, see where she at. Or vice versa. Because sometimes when I'm in that truck, she'll call just checking on me and all of there, and I'll be in my own little zone because sometimes I'm having a conversation with God, or I'm thinking about something, or just trying to focus on the road.
I'll be like, all right, babe, I was just calling you, love you.
Yeah, and she understands that dealing with traffic, man, it'll make you bonkers. So I'll be like, hey, let me call you back. Let me gather my thoughts, and when I calm down or I listen to a song or something, I'll call you back.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Space to grow, space to kind of like get yourself together and have your thoughts without feeling the pressure of having to be, everything to everyone. And when you're just sorting it out yourself. Awesome. Awesome.
That's the biggest key. And we do this well. I know we do it when like she goes to the gym or I'm at work, or we try to find time to separate just for the moment.
You need time to yourself. Just you and God. You need that time. You need me time. So it's a balance. You got to find the right balance. So, and it takes some time to do that without, to make sure both parties are good with that.
Or most of the time she was like, man, I want to go get my feet done. Okay, go ahead. Go. I'm gonna let you go do that because I know you need your time. But most of the time, we're like, make me an appointment too now.
Yeah, he goes.
I didn't like pedicures at first. I didn't, but now, every time she told me is this right pedicures?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Every time she go, I was like, make me an appointment with Miss Lee. Yeah. So I find joy in that now. That's just us going spending quality time together, and most of the time when we leave there, we're like, hey, you want to go catch a movie, or you want to go do this, or you want to go do that. If we don't have anything else to do, but that's just our time. So we found a perfect balance, I think, but there's still room to grow.
Yes, there's always room to grow because remember we change.
Yep.
Yeah,
we changed over the years, so we had to that 10-year mark. we had changed dramatically, but we didn't notice that we had changed. So that was the point. That was the problem. We had to study each other to find out the new us of where we have grown. So you have to always continuously to study your spouse.
And I think after we took that class and really started, we had to relearn each other, like she said. I think it was kind of like, hey, I get to chase you all over again, even though I'm married to you. So now I get to treat you as my girlfriend. So let me find out the new thing that you like. So it was fun.
It was fun. And it's still fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like dating some days, but it's fun. I wouldn't trade it.
Awesome. You have to always have that fun in your marriage. That's important. And you have also mentioned those date nights. Those date nights are also important as well.
Can't take each other for granted.
Right.
So, Johnny and Tiffany, can you tell us, for couples facing infertility, what word of encouragement would you give them?
One I would give them would be patience. At first, I was not patient. At first, I was like, hey, I want it now. But as the years grew on, I had to take on this role. Even as the things she went through, I had to become very patient and learn that everything doesn't happen when I want it. So patience would be a word that I would give, because like I just said, it doesn't happen when we want it. It only happens in the time that God allows it. So I would just say, be very, very patient.
And mine would be believe for it. That's what season I'm in right now. Believe for it and know that our identity is not in childbearing. Our identity is in Christ. So just because you're not bearing right now doesn't make you. I had to really like get that in my, that doesn't make me or break me, right? Of course, children are a heritage of the Lord. And of course, he commanded us to be fruitful and to multiply. But don't let that consume you just because it's not happening right now. And no matter how the children get here, they're still a heritage from the Lord. They're still a blessing from the Lord. So no matter if you have to adopt, no matter if you have to get a surrogate, no matter how the children get here, however God tells you to go about conceiving, there's no right or wrong way. Because some people will condemn you because of the way that you chose to bring your children forth. Don't let people do that. So whatever way God blesses you to have children, be thankful for that. But know that that does not define who you are. Because we can get lost in being a mother and longing to be a mother. But he's called us to do other things. You're good at other things. So I would say believe for it and know who you are. Know your identity in Christ. You're just not a mother, right? We're other things as well. We're other great things. Yeah.
Awesome. Definitely. So shouldn't get caught up in just that one thing and then allow that to take away all of the other gifts and things you could bring to the world, and you know how you could impact the lives of other people. Yes, definitely.
Definitely, yes.
Man.
What advice would you give couples who are experiencing impossible odds in their marriage?
Impossible, huh? Impossible. If you a believer, we serve
the word
a God.
Says nothing is impossible.
Nothing is impossible. Nothing is impossible. A delay is not a denial.
Yes.
It's just a delay, and it may be a reason. I'm pretty sure it's a reason why it's delayed. What we have to do, you have to have the right attitude while you're waiting. So don't wait and complaining. You have to wait and praise him for what you have. Praise him for the right now, and just know that you will get to where God is trying to take. And make sure that you're seeking his will. Make sure that it's not our own will that we want. We have to make sure that we're in the will of Christ, and it's what he wants for us, because you know he knows what's best for us, right? So we have to make sure that it's in his will. And
the thing I would add to that is, if you are a believer, there should be a point to where you do believe that there's nothing when it comes to God that says impossible. So
the only thing is it's impossible to please him without faith. That's the
yeah,
only
you
impossible
gotta
that I
have
know.
faith.
Mhm.
Faith that you like. I actually preached this morning. That was one of the things that I talked about was how your faith being tested.
Mhm.
You know how in James chapter 1, you know, he was saying that when you reach that point of your testing, be patient. That it talked about endurance or patience, whatever you want to name it. It talked about what are you going to do when you reach your win, because we all have a season of win.
Yeah.
And it's how you when you get to your win that you allow it to work for you, or you're gonna allow it to work against you. So the thing that it is, it says that patience, when your endurance has reached its point to grow, let it grow. So which means when you get to the point where God is trying to build your patience, build your faith, give it room enough to grow, and don't hinder it.
And choose. You have to choose to believe.
Yep.
So choose to believe that it's going to work out for your good. Choose to believe that you can find joy when you're going through trials. You have a choice. Either you can doubt and be in unbelief and be downcast, or you can choose to be joyful for what you have. Choose to believe. Choose to look forward, to look ahead. You have to choose. It's a mind thing. You have to choose to believe and to keep going, because every season, I always tell people, every season has to change. That's the way God designed it. It's not going to always be winter. It's not going to always be summer. It's not going to always be spring. Every season has to change. It has to. So whatever you're going through, it's not going to always be like this. It's just a season.
Yep.
It's just what it is.
It's just a point in your life that you have to go through something.
Yeah.
And you make the choice. You make the choice. Awesome. I see Kathy said great words of wisdom. Definitely find joy in everything you do, everything we do. Great sharing. Colin said, thank you for sharing your testimony. Awesome. Yes, this has definitely been encouraging, because we know there are couples out there who, are facing so many things that they're, deeming them impossible, that they can't see a way out. They don't see themselves, being able to move from that state of, whether it's darkness or just not seeing a change happening. And it's good to know that hey, you have the choice. You could decide to wallow in it, or you could choose to believe and choose to have the right attitude and choose to just watch God come through for you.
Yep.
Yes. Our Unique Couples community.
Yes. So
you can go ahead and put your takeaways
definitely
in the chat. This was an awesome, powerful conversation, powerful testimony that Johnny and Tiffany shared with us.
And before they share the last, before you continue, I just have to say that one of the takeaways for me was pray your spouse through the dark times. Sometimes we want to rush it. Sometimes we want to kind of like beat them over the head, drag them into it, and hey, but to be there and to use prayer and to just be patient with it and just pray through it is really a testimony of really being a supportive spouse to help your loved one instead of hurting them when they're hurting.
Yeah. So you can go ahead, put those takeaways in as we bring this conversation to an end. For Johnny and Tiffany, can you tell our viewing audience how they can connect with you on social media?
Yes, I think I got this. So, on social media, our couples page on Instagram, it's the official Power Couple. And it's by the power of God. It's nothing that we do. So at the official Power Couple on Instagram, our ministry, I Am the Promise Ministries, also on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We have a Walking Through the Word every Saturday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. What else? Oh, if you need prayer, you can email us at thepromisemen@gmail.com. That's the promise, and then M as in Mary, IN at gmail.com. If you need any prayer, if you need any information as far as with your marriage, you can email us at the official power couple at gmail.com. And I believe that, one more thing, we got so much stuff going on. The website for our apparel company is promiseapparelfw at gmail.com. So if you want to shop these shirts or any of our other merchandise, you can go on our website. It is promise-apparelfw.com. And I believe that's it. So much stuff, but yes, and thank you again, Vito and Linda. We appreciate it, and we had a good time.
I know this has been a long overdue thing, but we made it through.
Yes, and everything in its time.
Yes,
everything in its time, and just kind of like exercising that patience, like you guys talked about this evening. So it's the Promise Men at Gmail. We have I Am the Promise Ministries. Also saw that on Instagram, and then YouTube. We said the YouTube, right? Yes, I Am the Promise on YouTube as well, Instagram and Facebook. So go ahead, and I'm loving the apparel. Seeing the different ways, because we are a like we like to do the little twinning, dress like and show selfies and stuff.
The Valentine's shirts, or I may have to send y'all some.
So we have a lot of that going on in our How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group as well, where we do some of that, and a lot going on in terms of helping couples with so many different things that's going on. So one of the things that we have is a challenge, a 5-day challenge, and that's how to strengthen your marriage and have the marriage of your dreams, even if your spouse doesn't want to challenge. So that is going on in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. Go ahead. We'd invite you, all of you who are listening, watching, go ahead and join us there in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group, where we have that challenge going on and so many other things to help strengthen marriages. Sometimes we think that we can just do it in the space of just the two of us by ourselves, even though it's, just the two of us, right? But sometimes we need that supportive community. We need that supportive community, and we need to be able to depend on people, especially when we are hurting or facing impossible situations. So we kind of created that community where we could be that support. We know what it feels like to not have that support and not feel as if you have people you could connect to and share with. And so we created that safe space. So those of you who are watching, you could go ahead. The link is in the description. Go ahead and connect with us in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. Join us there. And so this has really been an incredible session. Thank you again so much, Pastor Johnny and Tiffany Clark, for sharing your story. So we were just like spellbound. It's like, we could so it was really great. Thanks for sharing. And we're praying, and we are believing. We're believing that God is definitely going to make things and work things out for the many persons who are listening, who are facing impossible situations or feel as if nothing could happen for them, or who have given up or at the point of giving up. And your testimony, your sharing is reminding us that, hey, promise. There's a promise, right? I promise. Right.
And our ministry was birthed through, got that part. Our ministry was birthed through that pain. So I Am the Promise Ministry. That's where it came from. The pain that we went through with our miscarriages. So God did birth something. We got a baby, but it was the one that He wanted us to have for right now.
Yes.
So
definitely. Awesome. So
yes, we also would like to thank our sponsors for the program today. Want to thank Party with Serenity and also Hair to Please. So we want to thank our sponsors for the program this evening. Like Linda would have mentioned, the link is in the description for the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. So you can go ahead and join the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Facebook group. And also, we have the Unique Couples Marriage Club. You can go ahead and become a member of the Unique Couples Marriage Club. We want to see marriages thrive. We want to see marriages go to another level. Motivation, inspiration, and transformation. You get all of that exclusively in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. The link is also in the chat for that as well. So go ahead, come and join us in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. Once again, we just want to say thank you to Johnny and Tiffany for that powerful testimony today, for sharing their story with the Unique Couples community.
Yes.
Yes, we know persons have been touched. Those who will watch the replay will also be touched from your story.
Yeah.
So we know that we have to put God first in everything we do. So once again, we just want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule so you can come and share with our viewing audience today.
Thank
Praise
you for
God.
having us.
Thank y'all for having us.
All right.
Yes.
And we want to thank our Unique Couples community for being here with us today.
Yes.
So
yes.
here at Unique Couples, we are building stronger couples, healthier marriages, and happier families. We love you guys. Have a great evening.
Yes,
and
Wednesday
we'll see
night
you all
for After Dark, Monday night for Manage Your Marriage Mondays with Vito and Linda Patrick in the Unique Couples Marriage Club. Then in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage Club, do not miss Sip and Spill. Get in the club, get in the club. Get in the How to Strengthen Your Marriage group. And we actually have a special How I Love tracker that you get. So join the group and we'll give you that How I Love tracker. You get that. So join us, and continue being intentional about loving your spouse.
See you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.